Together 10 years, married 5. 2 kids. Found this note on my husband's iPad and feel paralyzed. What do I do? I don't feel like myself anymore. I don't know who I am. And I think it's because I've tried to contort myself to love Rachel, when I really don't. I did this because I loved our life, but I don't know if I really love her. But then again, I'm not really sure what love is. It's certainly not obvious, at least to me, but perhaps because I've never felt it. Or perhaps, because I feel it all the time for everyone? I don't think that Rachel really knows me. From the very beginning I didn't feel like she reinforced the parts of me that I love the most. She didn't think the things I thought were special about myself were special. I don't think that she genuinely wants to celebrate me, to lift me up. Not as a deity, but as the unique person that I am. And I don't think I offer the same thing for her. For the longest time she felt like a stranger to me. I still look at her sometimes and I don't really know who she is, and I don't think she knows who I am. Could that be because I don't really know myself? How are the two related? My intellectual curiosity and desire for knowledge comes across as pretentious to her. She doesn't value wisdom the way that I do. But she also doesn't wield wisdom as a tool for power, either, which I respect. Is that what I want, power? I don't think so. I want to know things, so I can make sense of the world, help people to live in it, and make it a better place. While my curiosity and wisdom seeking hasn't really changed, it's a whole part of my life that I don't get to share with her: my sense of creativity. My humor. We really don't make each other laugh in a genuine way. My intense desire to love people, and be loved. Leading with kindness. When I lead with kindness with Rachel, I feel like I am being taken advantage of. I am angry with her a lot of the time. I really don't like the way she does a lot of things. I don't like her impulsiveness, her lack of forethought, her inability to really accept her faults. Her little habits drive me crazy, like the ways she takes my stuff and loses it, the way she leaves all the windows open and complains that it's cold. I don't like her awkwardness, and feel like it ruins lots of opportunities to have real relationships with people. Each of these things individually feels ridiculous and petty, but when they add up they become powerful. I'm sure she feels that. I guess I thought maybe she would change and I could grow to love her. In some ways I have. But of course it's not enough, because we were too far off from the beginning. We are not intellectually aligned, we are not aligned in our humor, we have sort of weird class divide where she doesn't care about tradition or history and sort of opening rejects anything that she considers fancy. I love old things, aside from their value, and the stories they have inside them. She could care less. Am I really prepared for divorce? I would need to move out. Would there be some sort of financial support to help me stay in city near the kids, keep my job, and live alone? What type of person would I become? My fear is that it would be one of the great mistakes of my life, and I would have to live forever feeling like I could have done more. I keep thinking about that guy in our building with the 2 boys. He sucked. Ways we could not divorce. Comment. By the time I got to the sentence starting "not as a deity," it became very obvious that you were supposed to read this note. Only you know the type of man you've met, married and had a family with, but the note comes across as pretentious nonsense from a person dying for attention. Write your own note. Not for his eyes, for your own breakdown of your relationship as you see it. Do you want to be with this man and raise your children as a unit? Do you want to be home alone with him, enjoy grandchildren and retirement and holidays with him until the end? My mum had a saying, it's one of my favorites: self-praise is no recommendation. This man is brimming over with self-praise, and my feeling is that he craves that praise from you and everyone else. Since no one is lining up to congratulate him on the remarkable person he is, he's telling you himself, but sneaking it in, so not only will you shower him with attention, you'll be scared to lose this absolute prize specimen of a man. Aren't you lucky to have him? Aren't you? Narcissism is a hell of a drug. All I read in that rambling wall of text was me. My. The good news for him is that now he doesn't need to worry about whether to divorce or not. You can make that choice for him easy. Make sure you send a copy of that to yourself and anything else you can find, and contact a couple of family law attorneys. I'm not sure why you're reading through his notes, but hot take: even married people are allowed private thoughts and space. He is rambling on in a way that is clear this is an extremely private note. I personally find it weird when married people don't respect boundaries and treat each other as individuals. That said, everyone has doubts and is allowed to have doubts. People don't always act on them. The reality is a lot of people settle and make trade-offs to land on a generally okay life. Since you already opened up Pandora's box, you should foremost consider what you want to do. Can you put this aside and still be with him, or is it always going to bother you that you have a real insight into one of the ways he truly feels about you? You should let your husband know you read this, and you should talk to him about how much he really feels this and if he wants to act on it. Personally, I would move on. You can't unknow what you know. But in the future, I would be more cautious about opening these cans of worms. Being so in love with your partner or having a partner so in love with you isn't the end all and be all of a life well lived. I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing at all that you found it. I really don't, and here's why. When we have been married and with the same person for this many years, it becomes routine, mundane. We take advantage of our living situations, we know that. And as time goes on life gets more chaotic. The kids need more attention, work becomes more hectic, demanding, schedules change, our appointments on and on. But we neglect the ones we love. The passion gets lost. The flame isn't there. The sparkle, the glitters, the flirting tends to get pushed off to the side. Not for everyone, but for some this happens quite often. And so they call it fantasy response. Which is what your husband is writing about. All these thoughts and feelings. But what if we took all of that of what he wrote and applied that into your life? You two started a new life? Go on dates, start doing things together, new hobbies, new things to share and to talk about and to explore and bring back that joy and that connection and that love that brought you two together in the first place. That's what he's wanting. He just doesn't know how. Because life is like right here in his grill, exploding from all angles. Lots of stress, lots of emotions and tensions and anxieties. And I'm sure it's the same for you as well. Nobody wants to get divorced. He's saying, is divorce a possible idea, because would this all stop right now if we did? Would we miss each other if we did get divorced? Would we still love each other if we got divorced? That's what he's thinking. He wants what you two had before life got complicated. That's all he's saying in all of that. And it's been a long time since you guys have been, and he feels lost and alone. And doesn't know how to approach this. So here is how you find out, and he finds out. You go to a divorce attorney and draw up divorce, custody, and child support papers. You print out his confusion letter to himself. You go to the bank and withdraw 1/2 of savings and put it in an account only you can access. You get a friend with phone that can film, I think they all do now, have them come over. You pack him a bag and send the kids out. When he comes home, you give him the printed information, the divorce papers, and custody papers. Ask him to leave and give him his bag. It will buy both of you some time to figure out how he feels. He will either be so shocked it will provide him with a jolt that makes him realize what is important in life. Do not answer him for at least a week or two. The people in these situations that fare the best, put their feet down hardest and tolerate nothing. If he figures out he really doesn't want to be married, you have aligned yourself to ask for all you need and put your life together. Good luck. Next story 2. I am having serious doubts about marrying my fiancé. The wedding is in 3 months. Should I break the engagement or postpone the wedding? My fiancé and I have our wedding in 3 months. I am starting to have serious doubts if our marriage will be successful. We dated for 1.3 years, did some long distance and engaged for 10 months. I recently moved from Oregon. He'd live with me couple weeks every 2 months and fly off to Virginia 5 months ago, and I started to notice changes in his behavior. We are both in high-powered fields with demanding schedules. He's in software, I'm in healthcare. He upholds values where he is to be seen as the man of the house, the provider, the primary decision maker, and the wife is to listen and support his work. In our fights, he said he does not respect or care about my work, his work comes before mine, and wants me to support his work and his vision. I need to ask him outside of the fight if he truly believes in this power dynamic, or he said this in the heat of the argument. I am currently applying for jobs. He gives me a list of things I should do, and if I have a problem with it, he gets very frustrated, gives his reasoning, disregards mine, and ultimately makes the decision for the both of us. He also said things like if I don't want to listen to him because he is the man, I should move back to Oregon. Over time, I've noticed a pattern in arguments where he assumes the worst scenario, jumps to conclusions and engages in yelling, making excessive hand gestures, cuts me off, doesn't listen to me, throws his belongings on the floor, and expects a quick apology. He doesn't listen to my side of the argument and states I am disrespecting his work and need for 8 hours of sleep, even on the weekends. To which I say, there is never a time to talk through things or have arguments. Hours go by in our fights until I say sorry, to which he does not believe my apology and fights even more. He also started to tell me what type of clothes to wear, to not be on my laptop an hour before bedtime, to diet 5 days of the week, no fast food or even snacks, and exercise 4 times a week, which these things he also does. My concern is he is bringing these new restrictions after I moved here, and I am afraid of what more he will add 5 years later after we are married. He told me when I was living in Oregon that he wants his partner to maintain a healthy diet and exercise, but since the move, this frequency is new and now set as a non-negotiable. Recently, I asked when I start my job, I will need to bring my work home on occasion to finish tasks. He put a boundary stating I can only do this 1-2x a week for 2 hours in the PM and wake up at 4 or 5 a.m. to work from home, and no more because it will disrupt family time. I was so disappointed that he did not want to compromise and would rather just have me figure out my job constraints instead of coming up with alternatives. I said I can't abide by this and was ready to break this engagement. It was only then that he agreed to remove the time restriction and would work on his flaws. I feel very devalued, mistreated, and disrespected in these fights that are also increasing in frequency. I am losing confidence that this marriage will work for us, especially if we have a child and the increasing responsibilities this will bring. I told him I left my family, friends, job behind to move here, and this was a sacrifice I made. He said he doesn't see my uprooting as a sacrifice, as I could easily pack up and go home. The true sacrifice would be when I have a job here, married him and have had a kid. He sees my sacrifice as his equivalent with spending $35K on the ring. He was divorced before and sought counseling before, his main reason being issues with relocating to a new city his then ex-wife disagreed to, but if they did counseling, I worry if the reasons he sought counseling are for the issues listed above in our current relationship. Another issue here is that I stated my needs in arguments, he did not follow through, but this was the first time I communicated with him in writing and verbally after the fight, and he is now making changes to his behavior, signed up for counseling and reading articles on controlling behavior, temper, etc. He asked me to give him 1 month and after, for me to decide whether to continue with the wedding. He said he didn't want to lose me and he will fight for this to work. The invites are on hold. I don't know what I should do. I don't trust that he will uphold these changes after the wedding. I am uncertain if the patterns of control and anger will return. I did not talk to my family as he asked me not to. He has another non-negotiable where he wants to try for a child no later than May, to prevent risk of Down syndrome/miscarriages, etc., and his stance is firm. Any advice will be helpful. Thanks. Redeeming qualities: he says he loves me. He spent $35K on the engagement ring that he financially struggled to pay off. And he paid this off. He put in $40K towards wedding expenses, which he says is the bride's family's responsibility, but is willing to help out. He takes me to the clinic when I'm sick. He lets me choose where to go on date nights. He is flexible with cuisines when eating out, takes trash out/carries heavy objects and groceries, cleans bathroom, toilet, does dishes, makes long-term plans for an apartment, concerts, games, etc. He accepted I can live in any apartment and in any city as long as it's an hour from the coast. Comment: you wrote all of that and are somehow uncertain or confused about what to do. 35 years of beliefs and attitudes are not going to change in 3 months. You know what will change in 3 months: short-term behavioral changes to ensure he get what he wants and lock you down in a marriage before reverting back to old behaviors. You've seen what your life is going to be. All you need to decide is whether that's the life you truly want or not, and make the appropriate choice from there. I hate how women accept the barest minimum from guys and think it makes them marriage material. Dude, my neighbor saw me taking the trash to the compactor and offered to carry it the other day. It's not some magical thing only this loser can do. Yep. Adults this old don't just change. They genuinely believe in what they are doing. He is trying to marriage and baby trap up so the real menacing behavior can come out. Up. This is literally him on his best behavior still. You literally haven't even seen the tip of the iceberg yet. That comes after baby trapping you. Run, don't walk away. Up, you are an adult, right? He's not your father, right? Then why does he think that he needs to tell you what to do? You will be very unhappy if you go through with this marriage. He is very immature and selfish to treat you like he does. He sounds like he listens to all those idiots' podcasts about the male is in charge of the family. That your opinions don't count and your happiness doesn't mean anything to him. You are an educated woman, you know that you will never be happy with this man. Please leave and find someone who doesn't want to control your every move. You can do so much better. Good luck. I would not say people won't change, it's just you should not plan to change a partner. The monosphere has been increasingly dogmatic in their misogyny since some of their ilk seem to be facing the consequences of their abusive behavior. More stories are popping up on Reddit of people being asked to be the obedient homemaker, but also still work because he needs the money. Please get out. You're right to be worried about how controlling he'll be after you're married. You can only get him to listen and compromise, threatening to break up. Do you want to have to threaten divorce every time you want to make a decision for yourself? It's not okay that he thinks he gets to make all these decisions for you both as a couple unilaterally, and even decisions about your personal body and behavior. How controlling will he become if you get pregnant if he's already controlling your food, exercise, and sleep? What happens if something went wrong with the pregnancy? Would he expect to make your medical decisions? He doesn't respect your job. What if he wants you to quit it and be a stay-at-home mom, financially dependent on him and unable to leave? His treatment of you will get worse. The only way you can get him to listen to him is to threaten to leave. So what happens if you're pregnant or financially dependent on him and can't leave? Please get out now. Quit the engagement. He's not worth the pain that he'll put you through.